Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Matt and John Make a Podcast. Since it's been a full week, of course, we have another edition of the Antonio Brown saga that never seems to freaking end with this guy. We're also going to be talking about the madness of the one of the worst Steeler games that I have ever seen in my entire life. We're going to touch on that. There was a great piece done on the Athletic about getting Malkin, about his time last season, rumors about him and like Phil Kessel not really getting along and such. We're going to touch on that. Also with the Habib and everything with his dominant victory over Dustin Poirier. But I think we're first are going to start off with the Evgeny Malkin piece, Matt. You did read the piece, sir. What?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah.
What were your overall thoughts? Your overall takeaway from that piece done by Rob Rossi of the Athletic?
Now, it's going bullet points here that we have. And the first one here is about Phil Kessel.
Yeah.
The rumor was in the article that he wanted to trade if Evgeny Malkin wanted to trade if Kessel was back. Mm-hmm. But then apparently in the comment section, Rossi responded back to a fan saying that that's not what he said. So pretty much he contradicted a good portion of that and let me
article.
Try to find the thing because it was on Twitter, and I believe I saw it earlier today.
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure I'm reading it right.
Okay. While you find that, just my overall feelings from that article, it gave a real insight to how Gino was he was really accountable for pretty much everything that happened last season. He was very frustrated. He was just very, and to me, it seemed like he was really pissed off for a good portion of that season. He seemed homesick. He really misses family. He really hadn't seen his son all too often. He really talked about that and how he was really missing him. He also, like I mentioned, how hard it is for him to kind of open up to his teammates. I mean, outside of guys such as Sid, outside of Sid Letang, and his longtime friend Sergey Gonchar, who was the guy who really helped him out and really helped him with the huge language barrier when he first came to the Penguins. It just came off to me very, very honest and very genuine, and also gave me a lot of confidence that if he's healthy this season, he's going to have a monster season. I really do think that we are going to get arguably Gino's or one of Gino's best season as a Pittsburgh Penguin.
Okay, I think I found it. I'll get to that comment in a little bit. I think people are blowing this out of proportion, even before this article came out. He's homesick. Yes, I think after years being playing over here in America and just being away, now he has a family.
Yep.
I think it takes a toll on you, and mental. I think mentally.
Yeah, and on top of that, his family, I believe they are stationed in
Miami.
in like Miami. So pretty much he's not seeing them for a good portion of the NHL season. So
I think it wears on anybody.
Yep.
More
so psychologically.
Yeah, and maybe he wasn't. You think it said in there he wasn't staying in like shape as the.
Yeah, he wasn't training. Yeah, he wasn't training as hard as like he would like, and like he tried. He said like he would try and like to kind of cheat up ice and like just like small things like that. Like and like he even said me that like him and Coach Sullivan would just like they would just have just these just heated arguments, which doesn't surprise me just because with like Gino, he's a very confrontational guy. Like I was watching a podcast with Ryan Whitney and Paul Biznett who like by the way did an amazing podcast with like Sidney Crosby. I'm not sure if you saw that, Matt.
No.
It's a very different side of Sid that we don't honestly get to see too often. But anyways, Paul Biznett pretty much said basically Gino will really confront guys and like really test them until they like kind of confront him and they kind of like not so much show him up, but like just like are gonna be like will like battle him if they are arguing about something. But basically it just kind of just outlines sometimes he can be tough to play with, but I do agree with you. I do think that a lot of these points really do get blown out of proportion, though.
I think when professional athletes are very what's the word? I just had it. Dedicated. They want to win. They're competitive. That's it. Mm-hmm. And he wanted more ice time. There's a bit in there that he wanted more ice time, and
he wanted at least
20.
Yeah, at least 20 minutes, and I believe he was only averaging like 18 or like 19 minutes a night.
And then Sullivan's probably like looking at his play and was trying to not do it. And again, he is older. He had a down year,
mm-hmm.
and I think that was the kick in the pants that he needed.
Also,
it happens.
He's
frustrated.
Yeah.
If you're one of the best players in the league and you're not living up to what you've done in the past, it's gonna piss you off.
And also too, he was also battling through some nagging injuries on top of that. It was just a combination of things, and just with how much hockey that all of those guys have been playing for the previous few years with those cup runs. I also think that to a certain degree fatigue played a factor, but I definitely feel that maybe some of it was blown out of proportion, but I do think that the influence of Kessel did affect some guys. I mean, it's pretty clear that with Kessel and Gino, they just they just didn't really get along. I don't feel like that they necessarily hated each other, but it's just they just, after a certain point, it was just pretty clear that something had to exactly happen. And I do think with the trades that this team has made, they have definitely have gotten, in my opinion, faster, which that was a big problem last year. It's just you felt like that the team was just moving in slow motion at times. Their overall team speed, which is what essentially won them those two Stanley Cups, were really glaring from what I saw, especially in that first round sweep of the New York Islanders there.
I think eventually Kessel and Malkin probably should have not been on the same line.
Yeah.
Maybe the two playing styles probably meshed, and there was frustration. Mm-hmm. I don't think they hated each other.
No. I
think I read somewhere Kessel said they eat dinner.
Yeah.
I think they're okay. I think it's just when you're not up to par to what you think you're supposed to be, and things are not meshing right.
And you're losing, like it really heightens everything else, and you're gonna find excuses as to why things aren't going as well as they probably should have.
It happens with anything in life.
Yeah.
If you're doing good, you tolerate stuff, or nothing happens. When you're bad, then you start blaming. You're trying to find excuses.
Mm-hmm.
I know, probably I've done in the past. I think we all have done it in the past in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
But okay, here's the quote from Rob Rossi here in the comments section. Somebody asked about the he not wanting to play another game season with Kessel. The fan, the reader asked, was it the direct response or was it inferred from a conversation you had or from other team sources? Blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And Rossi said, Evgeny did not want to elaborate on much about Kessel. They are friends. Did not demand a trade of Kessel or to be traded if Kessel was back. He said if Kessel returned, Evgeny would have preferred they not be line mates. The pairing was always Kessel's preference. Evgeny feels the Penguins are better suited to win when he, Crosby, and Kessel were on different lines. It wasn't a personnel clash. To the statement of different lines, I agree. Look at 2016. Yep. You had Crosby line, the Malkin line, and you had the Kessel line with Hagelin,
HBK line,
and Nick Bondino, the HBK line. Correct.
Which was probably honestly their best line for that for that cup run.
And it was separate. You didn't have to put them all together.
And it just like there was so much team speed from lines 1 through 4 there, but like those comments right there, Matt, kind of just like completely contradicts a good portion of that article because from how I interpreted from that article was that pretty much Gino gave an ultimatum to like management that said, hey, like I don't want to play with this guy. Either you trade him or I want out.
I don't think he would ever say that.
Yeah, and also did like you also see in that piece when supposedly when Rutherford came out and said that the only untouchable was like Sidney Crosby, and then apparently Sid, who like never goes and deals with like management, he said like, no, me and like Gino are the untouchables on this team. You know, we are the most important pieces of this franchise. Like,
I think.
What'd you think about that there? I mean, like, and that seems very uncharacteristic, like very much unlike Sid because he typically likes to like not get involved with the front office politics and stuff like that.
I want to believe that maybe Rutherford said that so Malkin can maybe like another kick in the butt.
That's kind of how I interpret it too. Because
I don't think Rutherford be like, okay, nah. Okay,
he would never get back what Malkin was truly worth.
He had a bad season. So get rid of him. I don't think. I think he was just saying that I think he was trying to be strategic to try to make Malkin like, okay, they doubt me. I'm going to train and I'm going to prove that wrong.
Which by all accounts through that article is exactly what is happening. Gino even said, like, I'm like training harder than I've ever have before. He's I think finally realizing as he's getting older that like he needs to take more care of his body, whether it's like how many times that he works out during the day, whether it's just eating the right foods that go into your body. So I'm really hoping for a comeback year for Gino, because I mean, like, in my opinion, he's still a top 10 player in this league when he's completely right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this season we could get a MVP like per performance from him. I just think like he's gonna be really motivated this season. But any more final thoughts on this on this topic?
I think just to sum up my thoughts is that people just like to. It seems like always want to create drama and blow things out of proportion with stories like this.
Yep.
And then you have like the whole season you have this drama like, oh, there's a rift, blah 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 blah, or you always had Crosby was a coach killer.
Oh yeah,
that
was a thing for a while there,
which
I found hilarious.
Like how it never made sense to me. But anywho, yeah, I think it's just blown out of proportion. I think everybody's fine. Yeah, there could be tension, but if things are not going well or whatever, there's people get stuff happens, and then you work it out. Yep. That's life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's just I think we're good now.
Well, speaking of drama, of course there would not be a week without multiple things happening. Not just one thing, multiple things happen with this clown. And of course I'm talking about our good buddy Antonio Brown. So within the past week, he's posted a video on YouTube about a private conversation between he and John Gruden, which is illegal, by the way, but supposedly, according to some video photographer of AB's, that supposedly Gruden gave the okay for that. I'm not exactly sure if I exactly believe that, but that's supposedly what happened. Then, pretty much, AB didn't show up to a few practices and to a few meetings, and from there, he was pretty much all of his guaranteed dollars were taken away from him. So he stated that he would not play for the Raiders if without those guaranteed dollars, and he asked for his release, and this was on Saturday, and he was released on Saturday, and then within the span of like 4 hours later, he signs with the New England Patriots. Now, I'm coming home from the Habib and Dustin Poirier fight from the casino. I'm on the road, and I'm just pissed. Like you texted me, my mom texted me, my buddy Phil texted me, all saying, "Oh, hey, look, AB to the Pats," and I'm on 79, right at the split. And I'm just mad. I'm just angry. Just all kinds of pissed off at this point. So now he signs with the Patriots, and you would think that's it. It's done. No. So it was, I believe, on Wednesday night or Tuesday night, whatever, that a civil lawsuit was filed against an ex-trainer of his for 3 counts of sexual assault and a rape against him. Now, have you seen some of the emails that he supposedly sent to this?
I've seen some stuff.
first of all, he has the freaking grammar skills of someone on the third grade level. Like
no, third grade a third grader can speak better.
It's just like I'm reading this and I even showed some of my coworkers this at work, and they were like, I got Elmer by
I don't even know what he's saying.
It just like it paints him in a really bad light, and supposedly that the accuser has like text messages saved where it paints him in a really bad light. So now, if you are the Patriots who should be used to sexual scandals by now, but still, I'm sure that they probably didn't have any idea about any of this, and according to Adam Schefter, that they didn't have any inkling about this. But now he's at risk, and the NFL is currently investigating that he could be put on the commissioner's exempt list while still getting paid, but he would be suspended, which I gotta think has gotta happen because. But then again, they had their starting safety who got busted for selling cocaine, and he was still playing last week. So honestly, he'll probably still play. I mean, he's currently at like practice now and everything, but my God, like, just controversy just surrounds this man, and I've seen some very selfish athletes. I've lived through the saga of guys like Randy Moss and Terrell Owens, and Chad Johnson, but they don't even compare to the greed, to the selfishness, just to the pathological liar that this man is. And I mean, like, a lot of people hate this man, but I gotta give the guy credit. Mark Madden called this from 10 miles freaking away. He was saying this back in 2015 that he's not a good person, he's a terrible teammate, and just everything that's surrounding this man. And he's been proven 100, 1,000, 1,000,000% right about this. I'm sick of talking about this. I'm sick of everything that's associated with this man. He is not a good person at all. And yeah, I hate the guy's guts, and I'm sure that now Raider fans are now finally seeing the freaking light as to why the Steelers fans hated this man so much. And this was like just insane. Matt, do you have any thoughts on this here?
I may need to read this after. I might add the bleeps because it's hilarious. I read the whole thing. Yeah. He posted a video of himself looking on his phone for the release. And ran around and ran around like a kid on Christmas getting a new video game system. And he was on this phone with his grandma, and she said, I knew it would work. I knew it would work out. He was so happy they got released. Like, it just seems orchestrated.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like he knew he was going to the Patriots at that point.
I absolutely believe that is exactly where he wanted to go from the start. But supposedly the Patriots offered the Steelers a first-round pick for him, and basically Kevin Colbert said, we're not going to even negotiate with you.
You don't trade him to a rival.
That's stupid. Yeah, we are not going to trade him within the division or within the conference that are a clear rival, which is why Oakland was a good destination, because they were not a contender, and they are not really a rival with the
anymore.
Steelers. Yeah. They were
the 70s.
They were back in the 70s, but not any longer. And it just amazes me how while there are still people who are trying to defend this guy, who are trying to condone his actions. Like I don't think people understand. If anyone else does this, like they're not getting a second or third or fourth chance. Like I don't think that people really grasp that, and people who are saying, oh, like this is a complete win for the players. No, because I guarantee you, once they go to the next CBA negotiations, that's going to be one of the reasons why the players won't get guaranteed contracts, because of freaking clowns like Antonio Brown making a goddamn fool out of themselves. This man got $30 million guaranteed and was still so unhappy that he wouldn't show up at all to anything. And supposedly one of the reasons why he wanted to leave the Steelers was because he wanted more guaranteed dollars. Well, that turned out to be a complete lie right there, because he wanted to be a freaking Patriot. And I absolutely believe that, and that there was some form of like tampering here, and it will never even be talked about or investigated. But I mean, like, being the conspiracy theorist as I am, I 1000% believe that.
I almost want to, because it's funny, read the text message that Antonio Brown allegedly sent, and then somebody on the website, like 4chan, did a translation to his. I almost want to read it, and then say Antonio Brown's text message verbatim and censor me out. It's just going to be a lot of censors.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Wait a minute. I'm maybe read one half of it and read, because it's freaking hilarious.
I can't even imagine right now.
Okay. Here is Antonio Brown's version of his text message. Get ready for a lot of beeps, and this is going to be fun to edit tomorrow. Okay, you ready? I jacked my on your back, slept with you in bed. Your knowledge. I've been all pro before I even knew you. Oh, by the way, use or spell just you.
I know. I know.
I'm just for the people at home. This is English Professor Antonio Brown. You hit me up online, crying. I didn't hit you up. You never left my house since you had hotel. You fell asleep on my couch. Out of here, my baby mama. Trick your dumb. Blast me, you're a failure, telling everybody you own a gym. What you gone blast? Don't write my phone. Lying, spelled Lien. Thought it was easy to get a come up. Using God a lot. Wait. See, this is bad. I can't even read it. Using God alias fake. Oh no, I got to finish this. You and ya mama thought ya had to come up out of here. Don't write my team. Translation. This is great. If I can remember when to stop. I filleted my member until in ecstasy I upon your back. I lay and spend the night with you in the bed chamber. I have little respect for the knowledge you claim to have, for I know it isn't so. I was quite accomplished and notable well before we first rendezvoused. In fact, I recall our first interaction was initiated by you with tears in your eyes. It was not I who initiated. Despite having a rented room in a local hotel establishment to which you could easily return, you in fact rested and spent your night upon my couch in my domicile. That's an SAT word. I will simply have none of this, neither with the mother of my child appreciate the falsehoods falsehoods, if I can speak, and trickery you laid before us. Devil take me, I nearly was overcome with laughter when you claimed to all that you were an owner of a gymnasium. Darken not my doorstep, or call upon me, for I would not answer your brazen... I don't know what that word is. I am not nearly so easy taken for you to use as surely you had thought. Taking my name of the Lord, using a pseudonym, and plotting with your wicked mother to take advantage of my situation. I say again, trouble me no more. You would find penning a letter to my teammates will avail you little as well. That's Shakespearean. That's amazing.
Yeah. So okay.
I wanted to share that because that's freaking hilarious, and that's going to be a lot of editing on my part. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, have fun with that. Well, speaking of things that pissed me off, Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh God.
Sunday night football.
Sunday night football.
Baseball like a dummy.
Like literally nothing went right for the Steelers at this game. Like literally nothing went right. Like offense, defense, special teams. I mean, I actually know it because Chris Boswell kicked a successful field goal.
He's back, baby.
Yeah, so that was positive. But my God, where do we start with this thing? What the hell was the game plan for Keith Butler and his defense? Why did it seem like that the Patriots were like 10 steps ahead of the Steelers?
Because they were.
I mean, like it just like whatever was thrown, whatever that the Steelers were throwing at them, like they clearly
it wasn't working.
Yeah, it wasn't working, and like they got no pressure on Tom Brady whatsoever. Guys are just streaming wide open. Like Hayden was having a really tough time covering Josh Gordon. We had guys like not knowing where they were supposed to be, calling half of the defense calling one call, or having guys like, you know, Vince Williams on wide receivers again. Like it's some of the same issues on this defense are communication and just terrible matchups. Like it's annoying as hell. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I have no idea what the hell that they were doing. First of all, why is Ryan Switzer and Dante Moncrief having like twice the snaps of a James Washington? He was your second round pick last year. And he was clearly a really dynamic player in the preseason. Why the hell are we not giving this man some more chances? I mean, hell, I believe he had one of the few plays over 20 yards in that game on Sunday. So can we please give this man some more snaps? And for the love of God, can we please... Dante Moncrief needs to take a back seat. He dropped what, five or six passes on Sunday?
I stopped counting.
I mean, some said that he might like drop 7 passes. Like, I never seen a guy who couldn't catch the ball like that. Like I never even saw Sammy Coates like that, and he was like Mr. Cement Hands. But supposedly Moncrief is playing through a dislocated finger, so that might have had something to do with it. Slightly, but in my opinion, like in regards with the wide receiving core, we need to see more of James Washington. We need to see more of Deontay Johnson. We need guys who can get open, because clearly that was a big problem because no one could get separation against the Patriots secondary. Also, we need to see James Conner more. Like Jalen Samuels just got way too much time, way too many snaps. and it seemed like that with Connor, he never got into any rhythm whatsoever. Not to mention, I never understood why we did so many freaking toss plays in this game. It was pissing me and everyone off.
I think it's because it worked last time in Heinz Field, and they're like, we're going to try it again, and it didn't work.
Which I felt, I was like, okay, just because that worked with the last time, don't you think that head coach Belichick was going to have that figured out? Like, it just,
I think everybody tried too hard, and it didn't work.
And Foxborough is like a house of horrors for the Steelers. I believe they are now 0-7 against them. In the Tom Brady era.
Up there, it seems like it.
Like, I believe that the last really competitive game was, I believe, the opening week was maybe in 2015 or 2016. I can't remember exactly, and that was only a 6-point win for the Pats. But man, like it was rough. But like that was like I would not have been so mad if the game was competitive and guys were on the same page and stuff, and we weren't just blowing chance after chance. I mean, especially against the Patriots, you just cannot be that undisciplined. You cannot be that unprepared. Like, to me, this game fell straightly on the coaching staff. It just seemed that this team was never ever prepared to play this game. Like, we put a lot of blame on players, but I put a good portion of the blame on the coaching staff, specifically with Keith Butler and his garbage game plan. Just like, this man should have been fired after last year, but of course Tomlin has to bring him back, and it's the same stuff every single year, and it just seems like we're talking about the same stuff every single year, just like miscommunications, guys in spots where they're not supposed to be at, and that falls strictly on the coaching staff. Matt, do you have any thoughts here?
The saving grace, if you look back to 2011 for the Steelers in particular, that they got blown out at Baltimore, 35-7.
Yep.
So relatively the same.
Remember that game.
And then the next week, coincidentally, was against the Seahawks.
And
at home, which it is.
And they kicked their asses.
Won 24-0.
Mm-hmm.
And so on and so forth, and they ended up 12-4.
Yep. I mean,
not saying that's going to happen this year, but to be an optimist and be real, okay, we got blown out.
Yep.
We play like crap. Probably play crap in that game too in 2011.
They did.
But you know what the magic is? It's one game.
Yep. It's one game.
It's the Patriots. Who
we always struggle against.
Yes.
So now
if the same stuff happens, maybe not as drastic as this past week on this Sunday, then you have a concern. But if we win, it's gonna go away.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe this first week was an aberration.
I will say though that, in my opinion, was specifically on the offensive side of the ball, they need to dip into their younger guys. There is a reason why Dante Moncrief has been on 3 separate teams in 3 seasons. I don't think that is a coincidence. And they did, and as I said, they did draft Washington in the second round last year, and they also drafted Deontay Johnson in the third round this year. from the pick that they got from the Oakland Raiders. So we need to see what these guys got, because I feel like that they bring a certain athleticism and explosiveness that this offense really needs, and also trying to keep that balanced attack, which I really do feel that they can consistently run the ball, but they cannot be this poorly from an execution standpoint and expect to be in games. And I'm looking strictly at Ben too. He needs to be better. He needs to be way more efficient. I do expect that he will definitely bounce back this week, but I'm just, there are definitely certain parts that I'm concerned with, but also at the same time, it was just one really, really bad game, and
against the Patriots,
yep,
is how it always happens.
Yep. So we'll see what happens at home against Seattle. It's a very important game, even though it's still really early in the season. They really need to have this game just to build up their confidence to more than anything right now, because that game last week can really kill it pretty damn easily,
Yeah. It's only one game. Nothing's out of it. It's a long season for football. It's early. You can't. It's easy to get wrapped up in it, but you have to see what happens later on. Let's move on. You want to talk about Cleveland?
Yeah, let's talk about Cleveland. This game right here, and yes, I know it's still early and stuff, but this game right here is exactly why I said that we all need to pump the freaking brakes with the Cleveland Browns and talking about Super Bowls. It just, you could just tell there's still a lot of chemistry stuff that they are currently working through. Baker Mayfield dealing with his new targets, more specifically with OBJ, but also a thing that I don't think that enough people were talking about was how bad that offensive line of the Cleveland Browns is. I believe that Baker got sacked at least 5 times in that game. He threw him 3 picks, was just getting consistently pressured. I believe actually that their left tackle actually he got thrown out of the game because while he was getting shoved down, he kicked an opposing Tennessee defensive lineman, which prompted the official to throw him out, and not to mention 18 penalties. It's really hard to win games when you're that heavily penalized, and a lot of personal fouls, just dumb mental errors. And I think if you are Cleveland, I think the main thing that you take away from that game is, up until the mid portion or the end of the third quarter, it was only 15-13. They were right there, but just dumb mental errors. I believe they were within 2 points after David Njoku scored that touchdown. And then on the very next drive, very first play, Marcus Mariota throws a screen pass to Eric Henry, and he scores, I believe, for a 75 yard touchdown, something like that. And I think that just completely just deflated the whole entire team, and that's when just everything just completely fell on them there. But I mean,
it was the big thing I got away from watching that. I was watching it at work, flipping back and forth, checking it out. So wasn't completely focused. But like you said, it was the penalties at the wrong times. It
18.
kills drives.
Yep.
Like you can be a 3rd and 5, get a first down, but flag, holding, offense, third and 15, and then you're screwed, and that you have to punt the ball.
To mention too, like any sort of like deep patterns, like they had a really hard time blocking Tennessee. It's just that defense just made Baker's life hell. Like pretty much for that whole entire game. Yeah, they had some explosive plays, but man, like were they just getting beat up? And I mean, like he had to have been pretty sore. But a thing that I also took away was like, and a thing that I kind of questioned was their like maturity level. Like Baker, like yeah, you guys lost pretty badly, but I think it's really like it was just a bad look for them to be so, what's the word I'm looking for, like down or just like
It wasn't so sore losers. It was just.
I mean to a certain extent that's kind of what it felt like they were snapping on these reporters, and like Baker saying, oh, like, you know, everyone's doubting us, and like saying that we're crap. I was like, dude, you brought all of this on yourself. Like you were building yourselves up as a Super Bowl contender. Like you know, when you add these so many different players, and you constantly talk about that, there are expectations now, and like just off of that, they are not dealing with expectations really well, and I feel like that's going to be something you're going to have to consistently deal with over the course of a season. That is why, like that, I mean, like, you know, for the Cleveland Browns, they are a completely different franchise now, because now there are expectations. They are expected to be in contention for an AFC North title. So, like, you know, how are they going to be dealing with that on a week-to-week basis? And to me, just like between him and Jarvis Landry, they could have handled this a little bit better here.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else from the NFL that you wanted to touch on, Matt? Other than Miami being the absolute worst NFL team that I've seen in a while.
I wasn't seeing that. I couldn't watch the game because it wasn't here locally. But just seeing that score, I was just like,
it was like
what?
It was like pretty much watching Oklahoma beat up on a one AA school. Like guys just streaming wide open, like Hollywood Brown like was just running past everybody, and for some reason the like Miami defense like were playing just so far off of him, and he's still running right past him. Lamar and they made Lamar Jackson look like a freaking Hall of Famer, and like I do think that he's definitely improved. But I mean, like to me, this was more of an indictment on how bad that the Miami Dolphins were too. But there was that. There was a good game between Carolina and the LA Rams, which pissed you off. I believe I'm from that and from the Philadelphia and the Washington game.
I'm in this pick six league. We have the pick six six teams, make 6 picks, either point spread or over and under. And I had the Rams minus 3.5, and they won by 3, so that's a loss. And then I had Philadelphia I forget what it was, maybe 6.5. I forget what it was. But Philadelphia was down by double digits early. They came back. They took the lead. I think it was 9.5. And they were up by 10. I gotta look. But anywho, and they let the Redskins, right? They faced the Redskins, come back and score garbage touchdown, and to screw me out of that. So I'm not too happy about the Philadelphia Eagles again, and the Rams. I'm okay with them.
Yeah.
But and I have Carolina tonight -6.5, and it's not looking too good because
and from what Twitter is telling me, this is like a really boring game right now. But
looks like it.
Yeah, other stuff that happened. Vikings were pretty dominant against the Atlanta Falcons. That was not really a competitive game. The Buffalo Bills somehow pulled out a win against the Jets after they were up 16-0, I believe, heading into the fourth quarter.
My bad. The line on the Chargers was -6.5, and they won by 6.
Yeah,
there you go. My bad.
Thank you. The Kansas City Chiefs, they were pretty impressive. And like Nick Foles is most likely out for the season with a broken collarbone, which was a devastating loss for them. And a little bit of a scare with the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes limped off a few times, but he looks to be all right. I also had a scare because I have him on my fantasy team, and yeah, that would have been a pretty big loss. But yeah, like there were some other really good games. Seattle over Cincinnati, that was an up and down entertaining game. The freaking wild affair in Arizona and Detroit, which ended in a tie, which I personally hate ties. I really do think that they need to do away with this, but that's my thing. Yeah, and that, did you see the like Saints and like Houston game?
I saw the very end after.
It was crazy.
It was after the crap. Who did the Saints play? You just said it.
I'm thinking Houston.
Houston. Crap. After they scored that touchdown, I saw it on Twitter, so I turned it on real quick. And then I watched Drew Brees do Drew Brees things, and with like 30 seconds left, go down and get a field goal. And can I ask you, what the hell was Houston's defense doing?
I have no
playing like 20, 25 yards back when you need the first down.
Especially too, like they only needed up by like 5 or like 6 yards to get into field goal range, and
you gave them 20 yards.
Yeah, like I would rather have them beat me deep because if they like throw that ball deep, like they have to score a touchdown there, or like time's is going to run out there. So it just did not make a lot of sense to me there. But
even me, who's not defensively inept on play call, saw that. It was like, what?
Yeah. So
you don't prevent defense when you have the lead like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that was a
field goal can kill you.
Yeah.
Would cost you the game.
Yeah.
If you were up by, they needed a touchdown, maybe.
Yeah.
But not when you're up by 1 with 30 seconds. In the next play, they need 5 yards.
Yep. You
don't let them get 10.
Yep. Which is exactly what happened.
My God.
All right, moving on. There was also a big fight last weekend. It was a pretty decent card, but truly only one fight to really talk about, and that was for the lightweight title between Habib Nurmagomedov versus Dustin Poirier. This is Habib's first fight since his dominating win over Conor McGregor last October. This was a pretty one-sided fight. Poirier had a few good strikes, but like he got taken down every single round. He managed to survive, especially in like round one, which I mean, like there was a few moments there where I thought that he was definitely getting finished, but then in like round three, Dustin Poirier he was pretty gassed. Habib took him down and eventually choked him out. So now Habib gets another dominating win. And for the love of God, can we please now go to the fight between Habib and Tony Ferguson? Tony Ferguson has won 12 straight fights now. He finished Anthony Pettis last year. He dominated Cowboy Cerrone. It's time that we finally give this man his due and his chance. And Dana White essentially said that pretty much regardless of few wins between Poirier and Habib, Tony Ferguson is the next fight. But Habib's manager came out and as of this morning and said that supposedly GSP is like next and not Tony Ferguson and not Conor. Okay. If they even think about doing the fight between Habib and George St. Pierre, I think it puts it paints the whole sport, and more specifically with this lightweight division, really badly when you don't give a guy who's never had a chance at the actual lightweight title and finally getting his shot. Like Tony has beaten everybody who they have put in front of him, and some of them he has flat out dominated. Like he will take damage, but man, he runs right through guys. And in my opinion, there's only one guy in that weight class who has a chance against Habib, and that's Tony Ferguson. So I pray that we finally get this fight, whether it's at the end of this year or in early 2020. But the fight needs to get done, and I hope that it does. Also, some other big news for UFC 244 from Madison Square Garden is now official. Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal for the NES. It's not a like actual real title, but they're calling it the BMF title, or better known as the baddest mother title. sorry, buddy. You're gonna have to edit that out too.
Write down the time so I don't forget.
But this fight is, I think, I'm honestly surprised at how soon that they actually made this fight. It's easily going to be one of their biggest business wise, from a pay-per-view standpoint, is going to do really well for the company. And just some of the fights that they got added onto this card, like you have like Darren Till versus Kelvin Gastelum. I believe they have Johnny Walker versus Corey Anderson. I believe that Eric Lewis is also on this card. Like, there's a lot of really good fights on this card. If everyone stays healthy, like this is definitely going to be the best card from top to bottom for the UFC, and I'm going to have a lot of fun at the casino watching this here. So it's going to be a lot of fun to deal with. All right, so some other things I wanted to touch on. Pitt versus Penn State is happening this weekend. This is of course the final time that both of these teams are going to be playing against each other. After they signed a deal for like 4 years, but they have decided not to renew the contract, which is dumb and stupid as hell. But supposedly it's more so on the Penn State side, just them not really wanting to actually do this game anymore. But Pitt,
why?
Well, I definitely think that like for one with the college with the conference games increasing, I definitely feel that is one of the reasons. But to me, that's a dumb excuse, because to me Pitt and Penn State should play every single year. Like, there's a clear hatred between both families.
Such a good rivalry.
It's such a good rivalry. Like, there's a clear and like I mean it's clearly just, I mean, like I can't even actually figure out why Penn State just really cannot come to the table to Pitt and just say, hey, let's keep on doing this game. I know that from the Pitt side, Heather Lyke has and her athletic department have tried everything to have this thing continue, but things just sadly have not worked out. I mean, it's definitely a game that I constantly look forward to every single year. Like this, like, it's such a fun game, but it's just unfortunately college politics have come into play here. I mean, do you have anything to add here, Matt, about this?
Just being the first time they played at Heinz Field, I remember I was working the Pirate game in the evening.
It was crazy.
Just being at that atmosphere. I was walking to the game. It was the fourth quarter, but the whole North Shore, just outside with the boats on the river, just everybody out there. It was crazy that we don't really see that with Pitt games.
No, like
with obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But just everybody being down there for that game, Pitt and Penn State fans. Yeah. It was a crazy atmosphere, and I just walked by, just being like in complete like awe of situations. Like, they need to keep this going.
Yep, they need to. But unfortunately, it's not. As far as the game itself, I'll be honest. I'll be really surprised if this is a competitive game. Pitt right now, they have a ton of injuries right now. Their quarterback play with Kenny Pickett has been really inconsistent.
I have no confidence in him in any game.
Yeah. It's just like,
I'm sorry.
I mean, like, I feel confident with the offensive coordinator and them forcing Kenny Pickett to actually have to like make some throws, but his accuracy is just, it's rough. Like there are guys running wide open, and like he's just, on some throws he's not even close to even hitting these guys. So like, it's just, he needs to play better. For Pitt to have any chance in this game, he needs to be on his game. It's just it's going to be a very hard game to actually win when you are not hitting guys wide open. And to me, they need to be able to control the line of scrimmage, and that's been a problem so far this season, especially in the Virginia game. But any final thoughts here, Matt?
No, all I have to say is just they need to keep this rivalry going.
Yep,
it's good. If for some reason, if down the line Pitt can get more competitive, it could be a really solid games.
Yep.
But yeah.
Okay, then. Just a few other things here. Sam Darnold is now out for the game against the Cleveland Browns on Monday Night Football because he got mono. How this man at age 22 is getting mono, I don't know, but but it's kind of funny. Matt, do you have any thoughts?
No, I really didn't look it up.
Yeah. So that was kind of weird. New York. It just more bad news. Also a minor scare for the Jets as well. Le'Veon Bell went in for an MRI on his shoulder, which came back negative. Nothing structurally wrong, but I mean, this was one of the reasons why I feel that the Steelers didn't re-sign him to those big dollars. It's just because of his injury history, and I won't be so surprised if it's if he's going to be consistently banged up this season. I mean that's going to happen when you don't play for a full season, and on top of that, he did not play in any preseason games on top of that. So, any thoughts on your boy Le'Veon Bell here, Matt?
I don't care about him anymore.
Okay,
he's dead to me.
Okay, okay. So just a few wrestling things here.
Technically, people in their 20s, it's common to get mono.
Yeah. Oh, who knows? But
very common is teenagers, but
well, he's not a teenager.
But it's still common. It's common in toddlers, 3 to 5, 6 to 13. Very common, teenagers 14 to 18. Common, 19 to 40, and rare in adults 41 and above.
Interesting.
I had to Google because I felt like what you said was not right.
Oh well.
Fact check.
Okay. The King of the Ring finals have now been determined. Is everything?
Yeah, I was just screwing around. I don't know why.
Okay. It is now, the finals are set. It's now Baron Corbin versus Chad Gable. Baron Corbin won his triple threat match over Samoa Joe and Ricochet, and Chad Gable won over Shane after he replaced Elias due to what Shane called a broken ankle, which I'm kind of skeptical of that there. So I
don't know if was there legit something going wrong with him, and they just put in story.
I think that this is a complete work here. I think that this was probably the plan all along, honestly. But now it's Baron Corbin versus Chad Gable. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't really care about this match. I don't really care who actually wins here as much as I hate Baron Corbin.
No, I
do
care.
I'm Chad Gable winning. It's just okay.
I'm all for Chad Gable to win, because then that if they depends what they do, they build him up and make him. This could be a big moment for him if he wins. I'm more convinced than ever he's going to win. Just the way everybody's talking down on him for his size.
Yeah, and there really hasn't been any story being built up for Corbin. It really they spend a lot more vignettes and interviews and promos with with them, Chad Gable. It seemed
I think they're using the fact that and I think it's, if this is the way to go with it, almost genius that he's Baron Corbin's in the final, because it's like, oh, he's gonna win, he's blah 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 blah, but he's, and I'm gonna like cross the line with you, but he is one of those good heels that you don't want him to win and you're annoyed. So it's like, oh, here we go again. But I think it's Gable's gonna win.
I did too.
Because I was thinking that you're gonna have that heel always win, but in this case, I don't think they want to do that. And we had something else that happened. I wanted to bring up that I laughed when that happened. Is that in the MSG crowd had dueling Baron Corbin chants of "Let's go, Corbin sucks," and I laughed hysterically because of the conversation we had last week. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But I was more surprised they had a dueling chant, which is okay. But I believe Chad Gable's going to win. I'm not expecting a 5-star classic, but I think it could be good. I think it could be entertaining enough. I feel like this match should have taken place at Clash of Champions on the pay-per-view because it's King of the Ring.
Yeah, and now the finals are happening
on next Monday night.
On next Monday night.
Because I think you could have had the week to build it up.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, on the opposite side, to play devil's advocate to myself, it does make that segment of Raw that important. Mm-hmm. Makes it important for the weekly television show because you do have a bunch of championship matches and whatnot on the pay-per-view. So I might be one too many. So I guess it's okay. But I expect Gable to win, and hopefully that pushes him a little bit further along. I did read a report that because of Bray Wyatt and his character going just off the moon, changing plans for the King of the Ring, they wanted, I think, the winner of King of the Ring to face Seth.
Which I don't think is going to happen now.
But then they changed it to Bray facing Seth, or the winner of Seth and Braun Strowman at Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, which they played up to those reports masterfully during the Firefly Funhouse with he had the evil devil Vince McMahon puppet, which I love that they just played off of that rumor that went out, and I loved it. So yeah, I just hope Gable gets the push he deserves.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not really optimistic about that. Just based off their history, just based on just like Gable, it just seems like I really want to be optimistic. I really do. It's just like they have screwed up the King of the Ring on so many occasions. I mean, just recall him, King Barrett and King Sheamus. I mean, those had so much potential and just never really got over or anything. I'm hoping that this is.
I felt like the King Regal, if I remember correctly, really never went anywhere.
No, that never went anywhere. Like honestly, up until like in the early 90s when you had guys such as Owen Hart, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, like the King of the Ring had so much prestige and like honor, and now it's just not really taken seriously. And like supposedly they went away with it just based solely with like with like Vince, he does in like tournaments, which is the complete opposite of like Triple H, who loves tournaments, which is why you constantly see them on NXT, and them doing with the Cruiserweight Classic, with them doing
Mae Young Classic.
Yep, the like Mae Young Classic too.
Oh my God, what's the one, the
Husty Classic?
No, well, you have the tag team thing too. What's the thing they had at Access? It was the God,
Worlds Collide tournament.
That's another tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I do feel that with tournaments, that you can build up a lot of other wrestlers. I mean, hell, AEW are going to be starting up their tag team tournament once they start their TV in a few weeks here. So I mean, it's a great way to fill time with your weekly TV, while at the same time I'm spotlighting some guys who don't get enough attention from a character standpoint. So
hopefully this happens with Gable.
Yeah, we shall see.
One way to find out.
Yeah. One other thing that I want to also bring up. Apparently, there is a few reports going around that the announced teams are going to be changed. Like, supposedly they're going back to a 2-man booth for both Raw and SmackDown, which I love that, because I've hated 3-man announced teams.
Look at AEW.
Yeah. I mean, hell, like them, especially I always loved when it was either like Gorilla and like Bobby Heenan, JR and like King. I mean, Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan. Like, they're just, like, to me, 3 people is just way too damn much. And like,
I think 3 people is too much for this particular type of show.
Absolutely.
Because when you're telling stories and trying to get everything
exactly
with like football, like, I know, not football, well, even football, but like baseball, I know they have it like on ESPN. That's not as noticeable, because it's just the main guy calling the play,
exactly.
And then some people come in and they talk about what's going on in a
exactly
good way. So it's not as noticeable unless somebody's really, really, really bad.
Hell, even in like an MMA, like to me, it should just be like it should just be 2 people. Like, to me, the best MMA announced team is definitely Mike Goldberg and like Joe Rogan. Like, those 2 are the 2 best ever. But now, like, they are even out on their pay-per-views are doing 3 people, which I'm not exactly a fan of, but I
don't even notice that much bad there.
Well,
per se.
Into like, with guys such as him and like DC, who is my favorite play, or he's my favorite. Yeah, he's my favorite commentator. The guy just brings so much energy and passion and fun to those broadcasts. But supposedly, the overall plan is, the last I read was
I read at the beginning.
Yeah,
on
was
the phone here.
Yeah, was that the plan is to have Cole and Corey Graves on SmackDown, and that they're gonna be having Vic
Joseph.
Yeah, Vic Joseph on like Raw.
From 205 Live.
Yeah. I wonder who they would have on commentary. Like, would they have like a Nigel possibly on there? Which
I wouldn't be opposed to, because I like him very.
Which I love Nigel. Like, that man is, honestly,
I think he could do it.
I think
he could do.
Oh yeah,
double duty.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I think he's probably is the company's best. Just like talking about strictly wrestling, I think he's definitely their best.
They had Vic Joseph fill in for
And like,
it
he was awesome. He
with
was awesome.
King when King got taken out from Bray
amazing.
Wyatt, and you notice they did it on purpose. It has to be Vic because they did it on purpose because you notice Michael Cole stepped back
Yeah.
and Vic was calling action, and everybody rave reviews
Yep.
on social media, and it wasn't out of place. It was good.
He brings energy and he brings excitement.
He knows the moves.
On the call. He
was
knows
good.
the freaking moves. I mean, even on times in NXT when like a Morrow would be off for a like few weeks or whatever. Like it does not miss a single beat there. I mean, he's a very underrated guy for sure.
Yeah,
on the
he's won me over.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the announced teams of Cole and Graves on SmackDown and Vic Joseph, and they get Nigel on
Raw.
On Raw, I believe. I think those are two good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody craps on Cole, but when you have to do stuff a certain way, if Vince tells you,
and we saw it when he was doing a few like
even back in the day.
If you remember when they had like a Beast in the East special, when they were over in like Japan a few years ago, like
I don't think I watched that.
He was really damn good, and I felt
He's
like
good.
He was really good.
People give him a bad freaking rap.
He was actually pretty good there, just because like he has to commentate a certain way because that is exactly what Vince wants.
It's the style of what he wants, and you got to do it.
Because I guarantee you, if he was just like let off to like do,
if he had less restrictions,
he would be good.
I think it'd be fine. I think why everybody hates him is that when he got that heel persona back in like what 27 or something 27, that the whole thing.
Every time that Sasha Banks comes out, it's boss time, or
that's a Vince thing,
or when
you know it,
or when like Roman comes out, he was like, "It's the big dog." Like it gets super damn annoying. Which
after I felt immune to it after a while.
Yeah,
I'm used to it now.
I don't blame people at all because it does get really.
But he's not that. If it's Cole and Graves can just rip on Cole.
Which is fine because then
Graves is entertaining.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's exactly where they're going for.
I would love if they brought Nigel McGuinness up, quote unquote, promote him up, and then you still have him and Morrow and who was the third guy now at the last takeover? Because Percy.
Beth Phoenix is now.
Beth Phoenix
is now with NXT now.
Right, but that's true. But I think Nigel and Morrow are just as good. Morrow, what can we say about
tandem,
Morrow?
Yeah, like to me that is by far.
But if you
their best tandem, right?
If you have Morrow, Nigel, and Beth, those two or three, Vic, Nigel, and Raw. Michael Cole and Corey Graves on SmackDown, and they do their thing. I'm fine with it. Yep. That's two.
I am too.
Three good, like you said, tandems to listen to, and it's great. Yeah. I think you go 2-man. That's the way to go. And
Another big story that kind of happened in the last few days was did you hear that Impact Wrestling is now on Access TV? And supposedly there is a report going around now.
I don't know where to get that.
Is
that online only?
Yeah, that's online only. But supposedly now they're trying to acquire Ring of Honor, which I find hilarious just because for how many years was like where like Ring of Honor just constantly just making fun of Impact for like being so low on the totem pole and like them not being able to like pay their guys, and now they could that Anthem could possibly acquire that company, which I mean honestly it might not be a terrible thing for that to happen, just because, just from a business standpoint, Ring of Honor is probably in the worst spot that they've ever been in. They really don't offer as much as far is with wrestling right now. Like, I have not watched an ROH show outside of like us going to the MSG show in like New York. I mean, like there is nothing to be excited about with that. Any thoughts with that, Matt, or don't you care?
Impact. I don't know if that would be, if them buying it would be good. I don't know.
I think it would definitely put more pressure on like New Japan to finally do a like working relationship with Impact, because New Japan is also on Access TV. I believe it's until January of 2021. So there might be finally a working relationship there, but like there's been all kinds of heat with Impact and like New Japan, just because of how badly that Impact treated how badly that Impact treated Okada when he was over in like TNA. He was pretty much treated like a complete jobber there. So like they haven't really forgiven Impact for that, even though it's under a completely different regime now and everything. But yeah, so that's happening. And to cap off this podcast, we're just going to give some final thoughts on like Raw and SmackDown this week. We had the return of Stone Cold Steve Austin on Monday Night Raw, and The Undertaker also made an appearance on SmackDown. Again, it was cool to see Stone Cold Steve Austin. I will never ever get tired of seeing him cutting promos and stunning people and drinking beer. It was cool seeing Taker, but you do have to wonder though, like, is WWE going back to the well a little bit too often with these guys? Because as we saw with the ratings, specifically for Raw, it didn't really help them all that much. I believe actually that they were down like 15% at this time last year. So
I think, I think it's still the, I don't even know if it's still an excuse. I think it's still the Monday Night Football effect, that the ratings were going down anyways. Yeah. So you're starting lower than you did last year anyways. So when you have the football effect, it's going to drop even more from the previous year. Especially too at the same time that amazing game between Houston, that doesn't help,
and the Saints was happening, which that was a slugfest. So I mean that was definitely competition, but I also feel too that like that there's that it's not much of an excuse, just because specifically with like Monday Night Football, their ratings have been going down the last few years too. So like, I mean, like definitely it comes down to like this company needs to put on a better and more consistent product that people are gonna feel more inclined to want to see on a like weekly basis. I feel like just the main problem with them right now is it's a very boring product. I don't think that it's terrible, but it's just there's nothing to be really excited about from a lot of people. So they're going to need to do that. We also had a really good tag team match between Becky, Charlotte versus Bayley and Sasha.
Yes.
I will say this though: Charlotte needs to stop doing that freaking moonsault. Like every single time looks just awful. Like I'm not sure if you saw him.
I might have somehow missed that.
Like so basically, Bailey is in the ring, and Charlotte does attempts a like moonsault. Basically, doesn't hit any part of her. She basically straddles her and lands right on her freaking knees. I'm like, and
I forget what I was doing.
Yeah,
I think I just missed that little part of that.
And I'm saying to myself, Charlotte, if you're not going to execute the move with the intent on hitting her, then stop doing the actual move. Like it just looked so bad. It just looked so like it honestly looked like that she was afraid to even hit any part of Bailey there. So she needs to really stop that. But outside of that, that was a really fun match. There was also we had Cedric Alexander versus AJ. That was a pretty decent match, even though it ended in a DQ. I did not see any of a like 10-man tag. That just seemed like complete filler to me. I didn't see that. From everything that I hear, that wasn't much of anything. I'm
trying to remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too if there was anything else that happened.
The baby faces won, and then immediately when the winner was announced, Stone Cold came out and they did the.
Oh yeah, and then he stunned.
They stunned AJ, and they had the beer, drinking beer. That
I also forgot to mention too. AJ was incredible in that opening segment with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like he came out of that pretty good, like just like his comedic timing sometimes with like Steve. He'd be like, "Shut up, Steve," which got me a good
I missed
shot.
the beginning of that because
that was funny. But like I will say though, like compared to Stone Cold, like Seth and Braun just felt like fishes out of freaking water there, man. Like and like I get it. It's like Stone Cold Steve Austin and two of these other guys, but man, like they just it was just weird. But yeah, a decent segment there. Nothing else really happened on Raw there outside of Baron Corbin winning that match there. I was surprised that they didn't have like Wyatt take out Steve Austin though. I really thought that was a definite missed opportunity there for them to do that there.
In the Firefly Funhouse, he fixed the clock.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
because it did say 3:16 talking about Austin, so you think he was teasing that, but and then they changed the clock to he hit it with the hammer and it changed it to instead of 3:16 11:19. So everybody was talking about that, and people came up with Undertaker debuted on November 19th, 1990 at Survivor Series. So maybe that's just a long tease.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I'm not exactly sure what that means, and that's honestly a good thing. And which is why with
people were talking.
Yep, yeah, with the Fiend character, it's by far the most interesting thing that they have right now. So and on SmackDown, the main thing that came out of that outside of Chad Gable winning is Kevin Owens got fired, which I believe that they're going to be putting him on the NXT brand. I'd be kind of surprised if they didn't, honestly. I definitely feel that was kind of the end game here, because with them going to 2 hours on like Wednesday nights next week, which that starts out, even though for the first few weeks it's only going to be 1 hour because of like Suits. They still have a few episodes left, but yeah, like there was definitely a few guys who I circled who I would like to be on NXT when they go to 2 hours, and Kevin Owens is definitely that guy. I mean, hell, could you imagine a feud between him and Adam Cole, sign me up right now. So I would love that. I also think it would be pretty good for his career. And now with NXT pretty much being now officially a like third brand, like there is like no more call ups now. It's like everyone is on par now, and I believe now that those guys contracts now, that's essentially what it's structured as now. So Matt, did you have any thoughts on SmackDown or anything else?
The Kevin Owens thing is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see if there's any. Oh, okay. The any rumors about Kevin Owens, and he did send out a tweet that I saw that, but I didn't look more into it.
Mm-hmm.
Of 14/24/20, and people are filling out rumors that he was spelling out NXT because N is the 14th letter,
Mm-hmm.
X is the 24th, T is the 20th.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a big coincidence. If not, so maybe they can. I don't know what would happen if he's in NXT, if somehow the feud would continue, if somehow something would happen eventually.
No, I think that
down the line.
yeah, like
not
like,
initially.
Yeah, but I definitely feel like that this was a way out for them to get Kevin Owens off of SmackDown and get him onto NXT, which honestly I am all for. To me that was Kevin Owens at his absolute best was when he was in NXT, and just a feud with Adam Cole
Because
it would just be amazing.
It would be. I agree. The more I'm thinking about it, I agree. Have him show up. I'm watching the Carolina game. Having him show up as a surprise on that show
Mm-hmm.
in that first hour. I would do it the first hour on USA.
Mm-hmm.
Would be good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it seems more likely now. The more I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I think. Well, I think that should pretty much wrap everything up for this podcast. Matt, do you have any final thoughts before we sign off here?
No, just the same final thoughts that we always have.
Okay.
Is to like, comment,
Yep.
subscribe.
Yep. And we are now up to a whole 7 subscribers now. Slowly building that up there. But
yes.
But yeah, as like
Famous.
Matt mentioned, like the video, share it, hit that bell, and to receive any new notifications, for future podcasts. We drop this podcast every Saturday at 3 p.m. So stay tuned for that. And until then, we will be signing off, and shall see you next week. So see you later.
Have a good one.